So you think that one in the store to get a spare? That's to go to the primary school down the road to Midland. Don't think too bad if you're getting right. Yeah, it's good, it's good. I'll do about it. On this occasion, running on full size is allowed.
Well, hello. Welcome back to our live coverage of the East Midlands Regional Championships 2023, live from Moorways Sports Village in glorious Derbyshire. Supposed to have started at 12:15 this afternoon, but had a technical issue just before the start of play, so not quite ready to get underway just yet, I don't think. As I mentioned earlier in commentary, I have been confined to a cupboard, so unable to actually tell you what's going on outside the walls currently. I'm sure we'll hear some whistles in a moment that should signify the start of our first event. We're going to go for the women's 200 metres individual medley first. We then got the men's 200 free, followed by the women's 50 breast, men's 100 back, and then rounding off the session with the women's 15 years and over 400 metres freestyle. Still got a pad out of the water at the moment, so not quite ready to go just yet. But I'm sure we will be underway very shortly. Well, the pad is now in the water, which has to be good news. So hopefully we will be able to start in just a moment. And just like that, our first event, the girls' 200 IM is underway. Lane 1 in this first one, sorry, lane 0 in this first one, because of course we start in 0, is Julia Joswiak for the City of Leicester. Eliza Humphrey for Northampton goes in lane 0. 2 is Abigail Rowland for Burcoats in free. Charlotte Bemrose for Louth. 4, Daniela Bringeman for South Links in 5. Elizabeth Palfrey for Loughborough. 6 is Gracie Main Cole for the City of Lincoln. 7, Ava Lemon for Derby Phoenix. 8 is Grace Grinrod for Northampton. So 9 of the possible 10 swimmers in the water in this first heat. We also do have one para swimmer, Eliza Humphrey, in lane 1, swimming as an S11 swimmer. That means that she has a visual impairment, the most severe possible visual impairment. In fact, S11 swimmers or SM11 swimmers or SB11 swimmers, depending on if they're swimming IM or breaststroke, have to wear blacked out goggles so that all competitors in that class are unable to see anything, and actually the goggles have to be checked after each race. Every time they swim, they get their goggles checked to make sure that they are competing as fairly as possible. Leading at the moment on this breaststroke leg, lane 5, Elizabeth Palfrey. She has a fair lead over the rest of the pool. And coming now onto the final leg of this 200 IM. Elizabeth Palfrey continues to lead, swimming here for Loughborough Town. Does get a little bit confusing because you've got Loughborough Town and Loughborough University swimming at the same meet, so important to distinguish between those two. I do think that she's going to get to the wall first, and I will have that time for you in just a moment. Palfrey 2:42.19. Charlotte Bemrose second with a 2:43.52. Grace Grinrod in lane 8, third in a 2:45.78. As we move to heat 2. Lane 0 in this second heat is Amelie Burkitt for Hinckley. 1 is Amelie Munger for Nova Centurion. 2 is Lily Hamilton for South Links. In 3, Amelia Roberts for Nova Centurion. 4, Charlotte Marshall for Ripley. 5, Harriet Dickerson for Nova Centurion. 6 is Casey Cleaver for the City of Lincoln. 7, Charlotte Hodgin for the City of Lincoln. 8 is Ruby Maiden for Sherwood. 9 is Erin Ingham for Louth. And I do give my apologies for some of my commentary not being fully up to par. I'm currently controlling cameras and commentating at the same time, which is quite challenging. Just while we try and rectify some of the issues that we're experiencing with the turn end and finish end cameras that have decided not to play ball so far this afternoon. Casey Cleaver in lane 6 was over first at 100. 100 down, 100 to go. Continues to lead on this breaststroke leg, but lane 8 coming back. Ruby Maiden for Sherwood. And breaststroke proving once again to be the great equaliser in a medley swim. Cleaver is still over first, but not by a huge amount here. Amelia Roberts in 3, coming back fast on the freestyle. And Amelia Roberts, actually, as they come past the 25-metre mark, seems to have sailed past Casey Cleaver in lane 6. Also, lane 7, Charlotte Hodgkin coming pretty fast in the closing few meters. But I think this is going to come from lane 3. Amelia Roberts entered on a time of 2:39.50. Has just gone to 40.15, so half a second outside of her entry time. Casey Cleaver second with a 2:41.68, and Charlotte Hodgkin is third, 2:42.7. Heat 3. And lane 0 is going to be Kate Pearson for Chesterfield. In lane 1, Lola Holmshaw for Radford. 2, Summer York for Corby. 3 is Neve Burstein for Carlton Forum. In 4, it's Connie Renard for Repton. 5 is Emily Wynn for the City of Leicester. Mia Copping for Lincoln Vulcans is in 6. 7, Charlotte Byron for Melton Mowbray. 8, Evelyn Jackson for Bassett Lawton. 9 is Mia Matthews for Northampton. Approaching the halfway turn, and pretty difficult to separate these swimmers as they turn at 100 metres. The board tells us that over first was actually Mia Matthews in lane 9, 1:13.73, the split for the Northampton swimmer. And now only a 50 to go. That time it was Summer York over first. Summer York swimming over in lane 2. Mia Matthews in 9 over second, and now 25 metres to go. And into the last 5. And that one comes from Summer York in the end there. Time for her was 2:35.57. Well, she'd entered on a 2:37.45, so she's got to be happy with 2 seconds off that. Mia Matthews is second. Emily Wynn is third. Apologies if you were interrupted in the stream then. We seem to be back online now. Ready to go then with Heat 4. This one 0 is Ava Burton for Nottingham Leander. Poppy Mead of Derby Excel in 1. Olivia Marshall for Derby Excel in 2. Rose Dickerson for Nova Centurion in 3. 4, Jessica O'Herlihy for South Links. Grace Wingham for Kettering, goes in 5. Katie Taylor for Chesterfield in 6. 7 is Kate Andrews for the City of Leicester. 8, Freya Jones for Nova Centurion. 9 is Ellie Parks for the City of Lincoln. Lane 1, Poppy Mead was over first at halfway. 1:10.41 was her split there. 1:11.52 for Jessica O'Haroldy in lane 4. Mead enters this on a 2:34.98. That will be an actual 50-metre time. We can't say for sure that it's her best, but it will certainly be the best time that she has swum recently. And to go underneath that time would be impressive. Over first this time round, still Poppy Mead. 1:58.34 to 1:58.52 for Kate Andrews in lane 7. So the race very much on between Andrews in 7 and Reed in 1. Which one of these two girls can get her first? Mead is 18 years of age. Andrews just 15. And now into the last 5. Poppy Mead is going to take it comfortably in the end after getting caught a little bit on the breaststroke leg. She takes it in 2:32.11. Kate Andrews is second in a 2:32.98, and then Grace Wingham picks up a bronze. And we make our way on to our 5th heat of the 200 IM. A total of 8 heats in this 200 IM. 0 is Emily Parkins for Nova Centurion. Philippa Hickman of Nova goes in 1. Grace Turner for Grantham in 2. 3 Beatrice Finch for South Links. 4 Olivia Anstey for Lau. Valley Ward of the Uni of Nottingham is in 5. And then Nova have Janet Fung in 6. Amita Ballantyne in 7. 8 is Chloe Daybell. 9 is Olivia Beard. Philippa Hickman is over first with 50 metres to go, 1:55.18 as a split time for the Nova swimmer, but several other swimmers in the pool here could reach the wall first. 25 metres left, lane 4, that's Olivia Anstey going well. Lane 3, Beatrice Finch also swimming well, and lane 8, Chloe Daybell. So 4 or so swimmers could get to the wall first, but Philippa Hickman has just enough of an edge to take that heat. 2:29.85 for Hickman to finish first. That, I believe, certainly recently, is her first time under 2:30. 2:29.85 places her with the fastest time we've seen so far, the only time under 2 minutes 30. Her previous was 2:31.7, so good couple of seconds underneath that. As we go on to our 6th heat. Just waiting for the timing to reset so that the swimmers can be called up to the blocks. 6th heat 0 is Alice Streeter for the City of Leicester. Teammate Olivia Hunter is in 1. Lucy Hitchin for Repton in 2. Constance Phillips for Nova in 3. 4 is Amy Davies for the Union Nottingham. Holly Marshall for Repton in 5. 6 Alicia Massey for Repton. 7 Darcy Platts for the City of Leicester. Maria Romanoshka for Repton is in 8. And 9 Sfatini Kulkarni for the City of Leicester. It was Amy Davies over first in the centre, 31 flat for the Uni of Nottingham swimmer, I should mention as well. Total of 8 heats. This is heat 6, so our first cyclically seeded heat of this event. And of course that means that Amy Davies is our third fastest seed in. 2:19 flat is her entry. 2 swimmers faster than her to come in the next 2 heats, Kate Morris and Holly Robinson. About 2 seconds separating all 3 of those. It is, though, Holly Marshall ahead currently. Marshall swimming in lane 5, 107.01 to Amy Davies, 107.55 at halfway, so leading by over half a second. Be interesting to see how these two fare after the breaststroke 50 has been completed. On paper, the difference between these two swimmers' times is 3.6 seconds, so you wouldn't expect to see them this close at that point. And they are practically stroke for stroke, actually, as they make their way down the final 50 here. Almost impossible to call which one of these two swimmers is going to get to the wall first. Will it be Amy Davies in 4, Holly Marshall in 5? It could be either or. I think Marshall might have the slightest edge, but it'll be down to who has the better finish. They come into the wall, and it is Marshall there first. 2:22.77 to Amy Davies, 2:22.86. Only 0.09 between those two. 0.09. Lucy Hitchin, third. A very good swim from Holly Marshall. 2:22.77 is now the standard to qualify fastest if you want to do that for a final. 7. Heat 7, that is underway now. Lily Jackson Oates for Nova is in 0. Millie Wells for the City of Leicester in 1. Anna Stansfield for the Uni of Nottingham in 2. Henrietta Diamassa for Repton in 3. Nova have Kate Morris in 4. Iona Colbert in 5. And Kira Fletcher in 6. Emily Farr for the City of Leicester is in 7. 8 is Asia Coe for Derby Excel. 9 is Lily Tappan for Corby. Well, Asia Coe has gone out like a shot here. Miles ahead of the rest of the pool. 30.77. That is quicker than anybody went out in the last heat. But can she maintain this pace now? 30.77 for Asia Coe on the outside. Enters on a 2:27.30. And, I mean, there's 9 seconds between her entry time and Kate Morris's entry time. So I would be surprised if she could maintain this. 5 meters until we're at halfway. Very tight on the turn there. Kate Morris in 4 is over first. Iona Colbert is over second. About half a second separating those two, just under actually. 0.44 in favour of Morris. Millie Wells in 1 is now in 3rd place. Asia Coe still keeping up with the leaders in lane 8. Not sure if she'll get a top 3 finish in this 7th heat, but remains to be seen. Morris and Colbert practically stroke for stroke as they turn for 50 to go. Again, very, very tight between the two leaders. Colbert actually had the better turn there, 152.2 for Colbert. Morris, 152.49. And again, stroke for stroke down the final 50. Very, very difficult to separate these two girls. Both Morris and Colbert, 18 years of age, swimming for Nova. So both looking for that spot in the 17 years and over final, which they should pretty much get. 10 people go through to that final. And now with 5 to go, clear that Colbert's going to take it. So we've seen 2 lane 5 victories and a 2:25.44. So way off the time set in the previous heat. That was 2:22.77. So almost 3 seconds slower than the fastest time we've seen so far, but that'll certainly keep Colbert pleased. She'll be into the final this evening, and that'll be the time to show what she truly has in the tank. Into Heat 8. Lily Freeman for Northampton is in 0. Hannah Bowley for Repton in 1. Charlotte Room for Derby Excel in 2. Eleanor Broughton for Repton in 3. Holly Robinson for Repton in 4. 5. Anna Farrow for the City of Leicester. 6 is Anna Farr for the City of Leicester. 7. Madeline Soper for the Union of Nottingham. 8 is Abby Mitchell for the City of Leicester. 9 is Chloe Hopkinson for Grantham. Well, of course, Robinson fastest into this competition. 2:17.90 was her entry time. Kate Morris's 2:18.10 from the previous heat, but of course Colbert was the fastest swimmer in that one, 2:25.44, and the fastest time we've seen so far came from Holly Marshall from lane 5 of heat 6 in a 2:22.77. So Robinson should be able to better or match those times. We will see though. 5 meters remain, and again we see lane 5 keeping with lane 4 in these cyclic heats. It is Robinson over first in 1:107 flat was her split time. Anna Farrow second, 1:08.49, so a second and a half lead for Robinson. I said it looked tight. Sometimes it can look tighter on the camera than it actually is when they turn, because a second and a half is a fair amount of time really. Robinson should have this one in the bag. And continues to pull away from the rest of the pool here. The Repton swimmer is over first with 50 meters to go. 1:42.09. Sorry, 1:47.09 at the top end. Farrow second with a 1:50.46. So almost 3 seconds between these two swimmers now, first and second. It just remains to be seen exactly how fast Holly Robinson can go and whether she will put herself in a position to qualify fastest for this evening into the last 5. Robinson is there first, not a problem, and it's a 2:19.51, so that'll put her in the fastest lane, lane 4 in tonight's final. No doubt about that. 2:22.77 was the time to beat, so Marshall will go in lane 5. And I'll tell you what, Holly Marshall will need to pull out a stonker of a swim if she wants to give Holly Robinson a run for her money, when she can bang out a 2:19.5. All those finals to come this evening. If you give me just a second, I will confirm the timings for those, just so that you have them in case you're not sure. Finals swimming will start from 3:45 this afternoon. 3:45 for finals warm-ups from 2:45. For a 3:45 start, so make sure you join us again on the live stream or maybe even pop down to Derby to watch those finals this evening. Plenty of swimming action to come across the course of the day. The 10 swimmers in this heat. Ewan Swanson for Rushton is in 0. Finlay Stevenson for the City of Leicester in 1. Cole Johnson for Radford in 2. Jacob Breers for Deepings in 3. Andrew Edgar for Chesterfield in 4. Harry Maskery for Belvoir-Marlin in 5. 6 is Dylan Smith for Radford. 7, Ruben Fox-Kirkham for the City of Leicester. Kingsley Standing for Colville is in 8. And lane 9 is Owen Johnson for Repton. Coming into the last 5 metres of this first heat of the 200 free. And it is taken by Harry Maskery in lane 5. 2:10.71 was his time. Andrew Edgar takes second. Dylan Smith is third into the wall. Heat 2. Lane 0 is Joseph Laurie for Nova Centurion. Jensen Hilton for the City of Lincoln is in 1. Jamie Love for Nova Centurion in 2. Ryan Norton for Boston in 3. Aaron Simpson for Long Eaton in 4. Tyler Hollyman of Wellingborough is in lane 5. 6, Jacob Millwood for Nova Centurion. 7, Oliver Stone for Ripley. 8 is Jake Adams for Louth. And 9 is David Bucher for Worksop. Well, the first 50 is already done. These swimmers entering on times ranging from 2:10 through to 2:13, so about 3 seconds of difference on paper, 2.5 really. And now at halfway, it is Tyler Hollyman from Wellingborough over first, 109.36 for him. Second is Aaron Simpson, 103.71, 103.36 for Hollyman. And Hollyman really starting to pull ahead here. If he can maintain this pace, he'll be in for a corker of a swim. Those swimmers in the centre there, from 3 through to 6, are all 16 years old. There is another 16-year-old in lane 8. Otherwise, everyone here is 15. But of course, that is age as at the end of the year, so that's the age group that they're competing in, but they may be slightly younger than that. 25 metres to go, and Hollyman being chased down here by Jacob Millwood. Which one has more in the tank here? I think Hollyman possibly starting to slow in the last few metres. He might lose this on the touch, but it will come right down to the finish. Hollyman is their second, 2:10.97. First was Jacob Millwood with a 2:10.42, so just over half a second in it in the end. Third Ryan Norton with a 2:12.49. As we move on to heat number 3. Lane 0 is Luke Chambers for Nova Centurion. Sam Gray of Northampton goes in 1. Dylan Jameson for Repton in 2. Liam Hill for Nova is in lane 3. 4. Mario Vasconcelos Blanche for Northampton. Henry Crust for the City of Lincoln is in 5. 6. Ewan and Cox for the City of Lincoln. 7. Bobby Phillips for Wellingborough. 8. Ewan Hayes Wormall for Worksop. 9 is Ethan Ford for the City of Leicester. Sam Gray of Northampton out first at 50. Free swimmers under 29 seconds. Sorry, under 30 seconds. Clocking a time of 29. And those free you can see fairly clearly from that last shot. This one shows you lanes 1 and 2 slightly ahead. Also keep your eye on lane 8 starting to come through here as well. So it is Dylan Jameson in 2 over first. 101.9, 101.86, 101.75 for Sam Gray. 102.75 for Sam Gray, sorry. So Jameson is over first by a considerable margin now. It would take quite the back end to be able to take this heat from him. I would suggest 5 meters to go. 5 meters to go until we turn. That's not the end. Don't worry, don't stop there. Jameson is first still. The gap closing a little bit with Vasconcelos Blanche now starting to really turn the gas on. And actually, Vasconcelos Blanche has gone and caught him. He really has come through the last few meters. Traditionally, a sprint swimmer, usually a 200 would be too long for Vasconcelos Blanche, but I know he's been doing more meters in the pool recently. And you can quite clearly see how that has paid off. Vasconcelos Blanche takes that heat with a brilliant last few meters. 2:05.51 for the Northampton swimmer. Dylan Jameson is second with a 2:07.88. Bobby Phillips is third, 2:08.08. We move on to heat number 4 now. Evan Hawley for Nova is in 0. Jack Bignall for Northampton in 1. Oliver Sorrell for South Links in 2. Matthew Deason for the City of Leicester in 3. Eden Rowe for Northampton in 4. Albert Mulsher for Rushden in 5. Harrison Clark for Nova in 6. Leo Allenson for Derby Excel in 7. Sam Mesa for Repton in 8. Aaron Johnson for Repton in lane 9. Well, lane 5, Albert Mulsher has gone out like a shot here. Aaron Johnson going with as much as he can. And also Evan Hawley trying to stick with here too. So 2 outside lanes and an inside one. Mulsher, the only swimmer under a minute at the turn, and under a minute by a lot. 58.88. He has really gone out quick here. If he can maintain this, then he should be on for a time well inside his entry time. 2:06.21 is the time that he enters on here, and it's clear that he means business. I mean, to put clear water between you and the rest of the pool in a 200 freestyle heat is not easy. It's certainly not easy when there's only a couple of seconds separating you from the slowest swimmer in that heat on paper. And Mulsher continues to lead here, 1:31.10 for the Rushden swimmer with 50 metres to go. Now, only 15 of those remain, and he just keeps pushing on, keeps going faster, keeps pulling away from the rest of the pool. It's only just going to be over the 2-minute mark. That is quite the swim from Albert Mulcher, 2:02.77. He will have to be impressed with that. As I said, entered on a 2:06.21. He's just taken off 4 seconds, which is quite the swim. Jack Bignell, third. Eden Rowe, second. 2:05.9 for Rowe. 2:06.9 for our third place swimmer. As we move on to heat number 5. 0 in this one is Ben Gibbons for Northampton. Joseph Parnell for the City of Lincoln is in 1. Oscar Goldsmith for South Links in 2. Callum Quirk for Leander in 3. Teammate Laurel Roberts-Burrell goes in 4. Alex Sadler for South Links in 5. Guerillamo Cyril Ville for Chesterfield in 6. Joseph Greaves for Nova is in 7. Elliot Barker for Northampton in 8. 9 is Alfie Bisbee for South Links. On to the third 50 of this 5th heat. No leader quite as strong as we saw in the previous heat. However, lane 8, Elliot Barker on the outside here seems to be going for hit. What's his split here? 131.85, and he also did go under the minute to 100. So interesting to see what Barker can produce here. The rest of the field starting to come back on him, especially lane 0. And 0 is Ben Gibbons for Northampton. The two teammates now on either side of the pool. They almost certainly will not be able to see each other. They probably won't know that the other one's there because it's very difficult to see across 8 lanes of water. But it was Ben Gibbons that got there first. 2:03.24 takes that heat, and that is down from a 2:05.1. So again, he'll be happy with that swim. Barker second, 2:04.3. Down from a 2:05.02. So plenty of PBs this afternoon as we go on to our 6th heat. Zero in this one is Max Shaw for the Union of Nottingham. Lewis Shorthose for Mansfield in 1. Thomas Summer for Hinckley is in 2. Callum Kettlewell for Bassettlaw in 3. Lane Kiewer for Bassettlaw in 4. Joseph Mulligan for Bramker in 5. And then City of Leicester have Archie Dandy in 6. Tyler Holland in 7. Daniel Harris in 8. James Berry for Radford goes in lane 9. Archie Dandy was over first at halfway. 59.68. Just really showed just how fast Albert Mulcher went out 2 heats ago, that we're still not seeing swimmers going out at that same rate. Most of the swimmers are still over the minute barrier at halfway as well, so that really was a quick opening to that swim. Dandy is still in the lead, 130.88 at 150, being chased down now by lane 8. That is Daniel Harris for the City of Leicester. His teammate, Archie Dandy, is continuing to lead though, and I think it will be quite difficult to catch him in these final few metres. Into the wall comes Archie Dandy. Finished time is 2:01.76. And again, it shows that just because you are able to go out really fast, you need to be able to back that up with a strong third 50 and then being able to have something left for that last one as well. So 2:01.76 for Dandy is the fastest time that we have seen so far, by a good couple of seconds actually. And Dandy, only 15 years of age, that's going to put him in really good standing in the 15 years final this evening. We're now onto the cyclical heats. Sammy Pricer for the City of Leicester is in 0. His teammate George Moore goes in 1. Max Upton for Loughborough Uni in 2. His teammate Ben Blowers is in 3. 4 is Liam Dawson for Derby Excel, and then Loughborough Uni have Samuel Tucker in 5 and Alexandra Casey in 6. Benjamin Twinham for Derby Excel is in 7. Thomas Bruce for South Links is in 8. Finley Caudle for Repton is in lane 9. Well, over halfway through this race. And lane 6 is our leader. That is Alexander Casey for Loughborough Uni. It's going to be tight between him and lane 4, Liam Dawson, as they turn. But we would, of course, this is cyclical, we would expect Dawson to go that bit quicker than everyone else. Enters on a 1:51.60, which is very, very quick. I don't think we're going to see a time quite that quick here. Dawson trying to claw this back from Casey, but not sure if he has enough in it. He might do, you know. He's really gone for it in the last 5. Wow, that was a super sprint finish from Liam Dawson. Was it enough to take it? It absolutely was. 1:55.93 to 1:55.95, just 0.022 100ths of a second between Dawson and Casey in the end there. Dawson really, really wanted to win that heat, it seems. We go on to heat number 8, penultimate heat of this 200 freestyle set of heats. Aidan Cook for Loughborough Uni is in 0. Jacob Lee for the City of Leicester in 1. Joseph Kingsland for Nova in 2. Tom Truman for Nova in 3. 4. Jake Hutchinson for the City of Leicester. Loughborough Uni have Calvin Fry in 5. Tom Barden goes in 6. Elliot Sibley for Nova is in 7. Luke Stevens for the City of Leicester is in 8. 9 is Daniel Walker for Nova Centurion. And we are getting faster and faster as we go along here. 1:55s are the times to beat. That was the time just set there in the previous heat by Liam Dawson. And we are into the final 50 now. Jake Hutchinson in lane 4 expected to win this heat, of course. 151.20 entry time, but he is not going to win it without a fight from Calvin Fry in 5. Fry really, really going for it, trying to do a repeat of what we saw in the last heat, and has exactly achieved that. He gets there first. 154.68 sets a new standard for the fastest time to get into tonight's final. 154.68 for Fry. 155.21 for Hutchinson. We'll still put him second. Tom Barden third with a 155.60. We go on to the 9th and final heat of this 200 freestyle. Sam Cook from Corby is in 0. James Gannicott for the City of Leicester in 1. Luke Iverson, Ben Harrison and William Bell from Loughborough Uni in 2, 3 and 4. 5, Alexander Harrand for Derby Excel. Jacob Mills from the City of Leicester is in 6. Lewis Warner from Notts Leander in 7. Alex Keeble for Leicester Sharks is in 8, and 9 is George Whittle for Derby Excel. Well, William Bell from Loughborough University, we are expecting him to win this fairly comfortably. 149.80 entry time. The only swimmer entered here under a 150. So this really should be William Bell's race here. I'd be very surprised if anyone can beat him. But stranger things have happened. We haven't seen the top seeds in the last heat. We didn't see the top seed. We did, see the top seed take the win in the previous final to that. However, only by the smallest of margins. Bell leading with a 55.30 as a halfway split. Lane number 2 over there. That is Luke Iverson, also from Loughborough Uni. Well, he seems to be trying to stick with William Bell here. And of course, you never know, swimmers from the same club or same university in this case may very well say, look, I'm going to stick with you for this amount of time, or have a plan that they might know in order to try and help them get whatever time that they're looking to achieve. Not every swim needs to be a PB, of course, so going in and experimenting with different kinds of pacing can be very important. 5 to go, and this is, of course, going to be William Bell. Just how fast is it, though? 153.53 will put him fastest, as we would expect, into tonight's final. That will take some beating from some of the others in that final if they want to take the regional title. Not impossible, though. Certainly not impossible. And Bell, well, we'll see if he has any more than that in the tank later on. But 153.53 is certainly a decent time. Just a brief pause in proceedings while we make sure that the start unit works at the far end. Because we'll be moving now to the girls' 50 metres breaststroke. 8 heats of this event. And I'm going to have to rattle out some swimmers' names and some clubs' names rather fast, even if it is only a 50 breaststroke. 40 seconds isn't a lot of time. Winifred Owen for the City of Lincoln is in 0. Katie Merriweather for Radford in 1. Annabelle Coleman for Rushton in 2. Isabel Wickett-Picker for Hinckley in 3. Grace Twitten for the City of Lincoln goes in 4. 5 is Marissa Lee for Notts Leander. 6, Hannah Samuel for Burcoats in 7. Michelle Ho for Notts Leander. 8 is Daniela Brinchman for the South Links. And lane 9 is Katie Savage for Mansfield. Well, try and split that pack, will you? I think that lane 7 might be slightly ahead, or maybe that's completely wrong. Lane 2, 3, 4, any of these could take this heat. It could come from practically anywhere as they come into the wall. The first person at that wall was lane 4, Grace Twilton in a 38.86. Second, Michelle Ho. And third was Isabella Wickett-Picker. Heat 2. 0 is Jeremiah Deakin for Dronfield. 1, Mia Copping for Lincoln Vulcans. 2, Lucy Carter for Lauv in 3. Neve Burstein for Carlton Forum. 4, Eva Lemon for Derby Phoenix. 5, Emma Rand for Nova Centurion. 6 is Olivia James for Wellingborough. Eve Turnbull for Carlton Forum is in 7. 8 is Hannah Smith for Long Eaton. 9 is Charlotte Bemrose for Lauv. Into the last 25, and again, practically impossible to tell some of these swims apart. I mean, the difference is less than half a second between fastest on paper and second fastest on paper, so good luck trying to split these. Lane 1 might get there first, or it could be lane 7. We will wait for the board to tell us. I think 7 was. It was Eve Turnbull in lane 7, 38.66. Second, Mia Copping, and third, Olivia James. Swimmers in Heat 3, 0 Isabel Kimber for Ripley. Isla Pickering for Colville is in 1. 2, Isla Perry-Taylor for Belper Marlin. In 3, Matilda Herries for Loughborough. Heaven Harris Burton for Leander in 4. 5, Emily Wynne for the City of Leicester. Amy Godwin for Colville is in 6. 7, Janet Fung for Nova Centurion. 8 is Charlotte Jarman for Rushden. 9 is Libby Buckby for Arnold. A little bit more of a split potentially with these. Lanes 4 and 3 seem to be going out strong together. 3 is Matilda Herries. 4 is Heaven Harris Burton. Will either of these two get to the end first into the last 5? And it is lane 3 there, I think. Yeah, Matilda Herries. 36.92, 36.96 for Heaven Harris Burton. So, wow, only 6, not even 6, 4 100ths of a second between those. Emily Wynne is third. As we go on to our 4th heat, Freya Wingfield Dobbs for Leicester Neptune is in 0. Zoe Boucherat for Etwall in 1. Freya Jones for Nova in 2. Alice Green for Swadlincote in 3. Lucinda Norris for the City of Leicester in 4. Jasmine Hodgkins Taylor for Colville in 5. 6, Kate Andrews for the City of Leicester. 7, Tegan Gray for Gainsborough. 8, Beatrice Finch for South Links. 9 is Ava Buxton for Notts Leander. Halfway down, and lane 3 seems to be leading the charge here. We just had lane 3 win. Lane 3 could be in with another shot. This time it's Alice Green from Swadlincote in that lane. Also, lane 8 potentially, or maybe lane 6, but it is free. It was always free, actually, on this one. 36.67. Second, Beatrice Finch. Third, Kate Andrews. As we move on to heat number 5, 0. On this one is Molly Roberts for Leicester Neptune. Evie Alsop for Hucknall is in 1. Magenta Kenyon for Kettering in 2. Charlotte Wright for Louth in 3. Emily Batchelor for Kettering in 4. Summer York for Corby in 5. Abby Ruddle for Loughborough in 6. 7 is Lola Halmshaw for Radford in 8. Amita Byntine for Nova Centurion. Charlotte Byron for Melton Mowbray is in lane 9. And again, lane 3 seems to have the early lead here. This time Charlotte Wright of Louth is in that lane. Not without challenge though. Not without challenge from lane 5. Summer York from Corby. We've already seen her with some stellar swims so far today. This could be another one. She touches first in 36.41. Absolutely crazy how close all these times are. 36.41 was the winning time. 37 flat for Charlotte Wright to come second. As we move on to Heat 6, the first of our 3 cyclically seeded heats. This is where the times will get rapidly faster. Olivia Crowe for Melton Mowbray is in 0. Ellie Parks for the City of Lincoln is in 1. Sophie Baker for Chesterfield is in 2. Katie Founds for the City of Lincoln is in 3. 4. Hannah Bowley for Repton. 5. Anna Farr for the City of Leicester. 6. Anna Stansfield for the Uni of Nottingham. 7. Philippa Hickman for Nova Centurion. 8. Fatini Kulkarni for the City of Leicester. 9 is Christina Charles for Eckington. Approaching the finish here, and who's going to get there first? Well, it's going to be lane 4. No doubt about the fact that it's going to be lane 4. What was the finish time there for Hannah Bowley? 32.89. Well, I told you that the time would drop, and it has just dropped massively to 32.89. Heat 7 on the way, penultimate heat here. Zero in this one is Phoebe Morgan for Derby Excel. 1. Megan Aram for Balpamalin. 2. Ellie Ward for the Uni of Nottingham. 3. Holly Robinson for Repton. 4. Kira Fletcher for Nova Centurion. 5. Paige Fenton for Loughborough Uni. 6. Neve Dunbar for City of Leicester. 7. Olivia Anstey for Louth. 8. Lily Jackson Oates for Nova Centurion. 9. Grace Wingham for Kettering. Well, lane 5 is out here like an absolute shot. 5, of course, is Paige Fenton for Loughborough Uni. Can she fend off Kira Fletcher in lane 4? Fletcher starting to come back fast. But with 5 to go, they are very, very close indeed. I think that Fletcher's going to have the better finish here. And she does take it from lane 4, 33.92. Remember, we saw 32s, though, in the last heat. Second is Paige Fenton. Third is Holly Robinson. Well, you thought those heats were exciting. Now it's time for... I was about to say now it's time for some GB class swimming. However, I am not sure that Imogen Clark has decided to step up to the block today. No. Imogen Clark, Great British record holder in this event, was on the start list to be in lane 4. However, no swimmers in 3 or 4. So who's left? Connie Renard for Repton in 0. Madeline Smurthwaite for the City Lincoln in 1. Mabel Walker for Repton in 2. Emily Farr for City Leicester in 5. 6 is Chloe Daybell for Nova Centurion. 7 Ashley Green for Repton. 8 Caitlin Butters for Bassett Law. 9 Millie Widdop for the Uni of Nottingham. Into the final 5, and Emily Farr is going to take this with relative ease. Well, that time there for Emily Farr, 34.05. That won't put her fastest into the final. That first of those cyclical heats, that was very fast. That had 32s in it. So I think that the winners from Heat 6, they will be the fastest into the final this evening. But Emily Farr, 34.05, will put her in a decent position, certainly. Should certainly be more than enough to get her into the final. for some backstroke, which means that we need to get the backstroke start wedges out, which is why there's a little bit of a delay, because it always requires a little bit of wrestling. However, I'm sure we'll be there in no time at all. 100 backstroke will be followed by the girls' 400 freestyle. And that will conclude this session, and we'll start gearing up for the finals later this evening. 3:45 start time for those finals. Lane 1 in this race is Cian Saville for Daventry. 2, Joseph Deacon for Dronfield. Kieran Dexter for Odeby is in 3. 4, Stefano Fiore for South Links. 5 is Reuben Fox Kirkham for the City of Leicester. Ewan Swanson for Rushton goes in 6. 7 is Owen Johnson for Repton. Again, 2 para swimmers in this race. Johnson in 7. Saville in lane 1, both swimming in the S10 category, which means they can have a variety of impairments. The winner of that one was Reuben Fox Kirkham, 1:11.49 from the swimmer in lane 5. Stefano Fiore in lane 4 was second with a 1:11.65. Third, Kieran Dexter, 1:12.84. And in just a moment, we will move ourselves onto the second heat of this 100 backstroke. Gilbert Bailey for Notts Leander will go in 0 here. 1 will be Evan Nupuri, for Lincoln Vulcans. 2, Daniel Doyle for Kettering. Jamie Love for Nova in 3. Max Holland for Nova in 4. Cole Webster for Derby in 5. 6, Carlos Sierra Vilgas for Chesterfield. 7, Joseph Greaves for Nova. 8, Kingsley Standing for Colville. 9, James Duggan for Swadlincote. No swimmer actually here in lane 8, otherwise 1 through 7 and 9 all present in the water. Turning for halfway, and 9 might be over fastest here. James Duggan for Swadlincote enters on a 1:10.20. But I believe that it is going to be lane 5, Cole Webster, who starts to make moves now at the end of this 100 metres backstroke. He's going to take it fairly comfortably in the end after not turning first at 50 in 1:07.76. Max Holland is second with a 1:08.88, 1:09.04 for Carlos Villegas. But Cole Webster, definitely the fastest man in that heat. by over a second as well. Heat 3 is on the way. Just got to wait for the swimmers to clear the pool. 0 will be Joseph Laurie for Nova Centurion. 1, Tyler Hollyman for Wellingborough. Eden Rowe of Northampton in 2. Finley Gibson for the City of Leicester in 3. Ewan Hayes of Wormel for Worksop in 4. Harrison Clark for Nova in 5. Jensen Hilton for the City of Lincoln in lane 6. 7, Jared Collins for Nova. 8, Pavel Johnson for Arnold. And 9 is Connor Allen for Wellingborough. Well, a slightly wider variance of times on the previous heat to this one, so this one could be a little bit closer maybe, and certainly proving to be so as we approach the turn for halfway. I'm not entirely sure who's going to get to that turn first. I think it comes from lane 8 there. Pavel Johnson, 32, 33, but Connor Allen just next door to him in lane 9, 32, 37, so only 6/100ths of a second or so between those two swimmers currently. 5/100ths of a second between those two, I think. Into the last 5, and lane 2 is charging now. Eden Rowe of Northampton is going to get to the wall first. 1:06.07. Finley Gibson second. 1:07.14. Tyler Hollyman third. 1:02.23. 1:07.23. I'm sorry, my eyesight failing me on the little scoreboard I'm relying on my phone. Moving on to the 4th heat then. Total of 8, so halfway through the 100 backstroke. So the 10 swimmers in this 4th heat then. Charlie Jeans of Repton is in 0. James Annable for Kettering in 1. Cole Angel for Kettering in 2. Jack Goldfinch for Loughborough in 3. 4, Lewis Brown for Ilkeston. Repton's Dylan Jameson in 5. 6, Harry Kingston for the City of Lincoln. 7, Oliver Sorrell for South Links. Sutton's Jake Bohr goes in 8. 9 is Jack Hughes for Lincoln Vulcans. 25 left on this 100-metre swim. James Annable over in lane 1 is leading here, and leading by a body length or so, increasing his lead in the final few metres. And he's going to take this from the outside with ease. I think it could be an outside 1-2 with 1 followed by 0, but Annable takes it easily. 1:03.32 for the Kettering swimmer. Charlie Jeans is second, 1:04.70, but 1:03.32. That is pretty quick. That is very quick, down from a 1:05.77. As I've said a couple of times, just because the swim beats the entry time doesn't necessarily mean that it is a lifetime best. However, it's certainly the best swim that they will have swum for a while. And that there, 1:03.22. I know that James Annable has struggled a little bit with illness over the last few months, so I'm sure that he'll be pleased to feel back in control of his swimming with a 63.22 like that. Into heat 5 now. And Cole Stevens from Chesterfield goes in lane 0. 1 is Alfie Lynch for Derby Phoenix. 2, Ben Felton for Mansfield. 3 is Carl Kirsup for Ricknold in 4. Matthew Deason for the City of Leicester. 5 is Joshua Clark for Grantham. 6, Adam Wilson for Loughborough Uni. 7, Thomas Beach for Bramcote. Thomas McMahon for Loughborough is in 8. 9 is Jensen Ward for Nottingham Leander. Turning first at 50 then was 30.74 for Joshua Clark of Grantham in lane 5. This is the last heat that is not cyclically seeded, so we'll expect this heat to be fairly close compared to what we would expect the next one to be. 15 to go. And Adam Wilson trying to pull level here, as is Matthew Deason on the other side of Joshua Clark, but it is Clark there first, 103.65. That heat slower than the heat before, which does just show how fast the previous heat was, really. Wilson second, Deason third. And I mean, still for Clark, 104.39, so that's still considerably better than his entry time. But Clark also, we should mention, only 15 years of age, so swimming to qualify for the 15 years final, which I'm sure he will have done posting a time like that. First of the cyclically seeded heats here. Harry Milner for Epsom in 0. Martin Ian Cobb for Derby Phoenix in 1. James Gannicott for the City of Leicester in 2. Benjamin Twinham for Derby XL in 3. Ethan Richards for City of Lincoln in 4. Ethan Lawton for Derby XL in 5. Nathan Morgan for Epsom in 6. Henry Knight for Northampton in 7. Ben Gibbons for Northampton in 8. 9 is Owen Halfway for Grantham. And look at this in the centre. Ethan Richards in 4. Ethan Lawton in 5. Battle of the Ethans, and it is going to be Richards who gets there first. 59.25. 59.92 for Lawton to get there second. Ben Twinham is third with a 101.8. But 2 swims under that minute barrier. 59.2 and a 59.9. As we come on to the second of our 3 cyclical heats. Zero in this one is Joseph Parnell for the City of Lincoln. Ethan Randall for Corby is in 1. Laurel Roberts Burrell for Notts Leander in 2. Cameron Jameson for Repton in 3. Lewis Warner for Leander in 4. Sean McCann for the City of Leicester in 5. Jake France for Worksup in 6. Malachi McGuinness for Bassett Law in 7. Archie Dandy for the City of Leicester in 8. Thomas Bruce for South Links goes in lane 9. Wow, 29.35 apiece joint between Cameron Jameson in 3 and Lewis Warner in 4, both turning at exactly the same time. No difference between those swimmers whatsoever, and lane 6 is in on this as well. So you've got Cameron Jameson in 3, Lewis Warner in 4, Jake France in lane 6, and look at these 3 lads. They are a fair distance ahead of the rest of the pool. It's going to be one of these 3, but which one? Goodness me, I could not pick it. Lewis Warner in 4 was there first, 59.97. Jake France just outside that minute mark, 1 minute 0.13. Cameron Jameson just behind, 1 minute 0.27. But that heat's slower than the heat before. Fastest swim from the previous heat was 59.25. We've just seen a 59.97. So actually the 2 fastest swimmers in the previous heat went faster than anybody did in the penultimate one. We're moving now to our final heat, heat 8. Just making sure that the swimmers have cleared the pool before we get into the final heat then of the 100 backstroke, including our fastest seed, of course, Tom Barden in lane 4 in this heat, due to be the quickest in. So far is Ethan Richards with 59.25, then Ethan Lawton with 59.92, and then Lewis Warner with 59.97. That's 1, 2, 3. So, I mean, if nobody goes quicker than that, that's going to be quite a final in its own right. But we should see what Tom Barden, Jacob Mills, Jake Hutchinson and co have to offer here. Seems to be a bit of a problem with a pad or something here. A couple of lifeguards in the shot, so might be a brief pause for a moment while we work out when we are able to continue. I did say in the last stream that some of our graphics in the background, some of the results graphics weren't quite showing what we expected them to show. We are dealing with a slightly different timing system to the one at Corby, where we were last weekend. Now, annoyingly, it's a case of they're very similar, but not quite exactly the same enough to be able to use the same protocols exactly. And that means that when we got here, all the names were coming up in completely the wrong lanes, and it didn't really make any sense at all. We seem to be ready to go then with heat number 8, final heat of the men's 100 backstroke. And of course, a delay like that, I mean, can have an impact on performance. You psych yourself up, you get yourself ready to go, and you get a, oh, swimmers, put your clothes back on, get ready again. It can be disorienting, but swimmers have to learn to deal with such eventualities. Thomas Summer for Hinckley goes in 0. Lewis Shorthose for Mansfield is in 1. Oliver Silver for Radford in 2. Jacob Mills for the City of Leicester in 3. Tom Barden for Loughborough Uni in 4. Jake Hutchinson for the City of Leicester in 5. Ezra Lambert for Repton in 6. Thomas Daft for Colville in 7. Sebastian Ebanks for Derby Excel in 8. 9 is Jack Burston for the City of Leicester. I did say we were expecting Tom Barden to be way ahead of the rest of this field, and he is completely living up to that. Turns in a 28.69. And wow, look at the clear water between Tom Barden in lane 4 and the rest of the pool here. Very, very unlikely that anyone is going to qualify for this final faster than him. Fastest time so far, 59.25. Fastest time after Barden is now 58.28. So he is 0.98. No, 0.97 seconds quicker than anybody else into tonight's final. Almost a second difference. Almost a second difference between. Just 3 swimmers in this first heat, it would seem. Eliza Humphrey for Northampton goes in 2. Grace Grinrod for Northampton in 3. And Abby Turncliffe for Derby Excel in lane 4.
Results now published to your form. It's backstroke, it's checker. Please let us know if you're not going to take part as a finalist or reserve.
Coming up into the final 50 then of this 400 freestyle. And Abby Turncliffe in lane 4 enters on a 4:53.90. She is going to take this heat almost certainly. I'd be very surprised if anybody could come anywhere close to her, because she is a good distance ahead of Grace Grinrod, who will come in second. So that time for Abby Tunnicliffe is 4:52.98. Second is Eliza. Sorry, it's not second, is Eliza Humphrey. Second will be Grace Grinrod. I've not received, that time's not come through to me yet, which might mean that it needs to just be confirmed by the officials in just a moment. And Eliza Humphrey still swimming. She is, as I've mentioned before, S11. That means that she has a severe visual impairment. Her goggles are blacked out. She cannot see anything in the water and relies on the tappers at either end of the pool in order to, well, in order to know when to turn, how not to crash into the wall. Her sister, Scarlett Humphrey, holds the British record in this event, 5:44.65.
Thank you so much. Please clear the pool by the side, as you're nearest one side.
And Eliza was just outside of that with a 5:47.46. So not very far away from British record status. This is heat number 2, and a full complement of swimmers in this second heat. Zero is Matilda Hayes for Derby Excel. Into Lily Hamilton for South Links. 3, Francesca Palfrey for Loughborough. 4, Ruby Credland for Bassett Law. In 5, Charlotte Hodgkin for the City of Lincoln. In 6, Erin O'Neill for Radford. 7 is Ella May Pryor for Corby. In 8, Elena Aldenhoff Kelly for Grantham. 9 is Emma Rann for Nova Centurion.
Please can I remind you, we're changing on pool sides, so as you're entirely opposite all of the cameras for the video streaming. This is going out live. Everybody click on it. We really don't want that to be part of the presentation. But remember, it is on the live feed, the video feed, so it can be reviewed later if it becomes a further issue.
Heat number 2 then.
On to the last few meters then of this 400 freestyle second heat. Turning for 50 meters to go, and lane 8 is leading the way here. Lane 8 occupied by Elena Oldenhoff Kelly of Grantham. She turned in 4:14.34. And is now being chased down by LMA Pryor to her immediate left, and also a few lanes across in lane 4. Ruby Credland having a pop at this heat too, into the last 5, and these 3 pass under those 5-meter flags at practically the same time. I have no idea who touched first there. Ruby Credland, it was in the centre, 450.44. Oldenhoff Kelly second with a 450.57. Ella Pryor is third with a 450.66. 0.22 of a second, 22/100ths. All that separated first from second there. Those on the screen are the swimmers in the correct lanes, would you believe? Showing who is where. As we move on to heat 3, I will read through them just in case you didn't get the opportunity to. 0 is Millie Wells for the City of Leicester. Katie Taylor for Chesterfield is in 1. 2, Francesca Hallam Stott goes for Grantham in 3. Katie Hammond for the Uni of Nottingham. Lucy Bannatyne for the City of Leicester in 4. 5, Jennifer Walker for Bassetlaw. 6, Jessica O'Herlihy for South Links. 7, Erin Lee for Nova Centurion. 8 is Poppy Mead for Derby Excel. 9, Annabelle Russell for the City of Leicester does not start. Into the last 100 metres then of this third heat of the 400 freestyle. This is the last heat before we move to our cyclically seeded heats. And well, with 50 to go, it's very, very tight between lane 6 and lane 4. I think Jessica O'Harley has the slight lead, 4:04.37 with 50 to go. 4:04.74 for Lucy Ballantyne in lane 4. And now with 25 to go, the race certainly on between these two. Approaching the very last few meters now and going stronger and stronger for Jessica O'Harley from South Links, 17 years old. Lucy Ballantyne over in 4, only 16, so it doesn't really matter in terms of finals positions, but 4:38.54 is O'Harley's time. 4:38.54, 4:39.33 for Ballantyne. And then third was Jennifer Walker with a 4:42.03. And that is all of our ordinarily seeded heats for the day done. Just 3 cyclically seeded heats remain. Heats 4, 5 and 6 of the women's 15 years and over 400 metres of freestyle. This heat 4-0 is Lucy Cadden for Derby Excel. Eleanor Broughton of Repton goes in 1. Hannah Hodgkiss for Repton in 2. 3, Anna Farrow for the City of Leicester. 4, Rachel Anderson for Loughborough Uni. Alicia Dingle for Loughborough Uni goes in lane 5. 6, Harriet Oxley for Repton. 7, Shay Stewart for Nova Centurion. Maria Romanoshka for Repton. 9 is Amelia Cheschik for Northampton. So, as I said, cyclically seeded. This means that Rachel Anderson of Loughborough Uni, third fastest in, 4:16.26 actual time, 4:15.85 actual time for Fleur Lewis in lane 4 of the next heat. Mia Slevin, 4:13.24. Fastest seed. She'll be in the final heat of the 400 free to come 2 heats from now. But Rachel Anderson of Loughborough Uni, 4:16.26 her entry time. Halfway for Rachel Anderson of Loughborough Uni in the centre. She does have, well, 8 seconds on Alicia Dingle on paper, so we are expecting this here. In fact, it would really be a surprise if somebody else was leading. And approaching the penultimate turn here as we turn for 100 metres to go for Rachel Anderson of Loughborough University. Split time there with 100 to go is 3:19.53. It would be quite the upset if lane 2 could come through here. Hannah Hodgkiss really starting to push forwards in the last few meters. Don't think it's likely to happen. Anderson seems very in control of what she's doing and where she is. But Hodgkiss over into really giving it some in the final few. 25 to go. Don't think she's going to catch Anderson, but certainly got as close to her as her heels. As we come into the final 5, it is going to be Rachel Anderson that takes heat number 4, finish time 4:27.80, which sets the standard for everybody else. 4:27.80 for Rachel Anderson. Second, Hannah Hodgkiss, 4:29.85. That's down or up from a 4:27.64. Third, Harriet Oxley, 4:31.50. We are quite lucky here, as I said earlier. We do have 10 lanes available for our finals, so these swimmers will hope that they do enough to get into one. And keep in mind here too that the only reason, sorry, not the only reason, keep in mind the important fact that finals in the 400 meter events are 15 and over. So you've got a lot more competition. There are some quick swimmers who are 15, 16, and the 17-year-olds. There will be 17-year-olds who will get into finals as 17 years and over, who won't make a final as 15 years and over. Last weekend at Corby, we saw swimmers who were 13 win the 14 years and under finals. So we could certainly see similar outcomes here in terms of younger swimmers really coming through, taking those final places, maybe taking the medals from those who are actually 17 and over, because of course 400s 15 and over for qualification and for medals. This 1-0 is Lily Freeman for Northampton. Olivia Hunter for the City of Leicester goes in lane 1. 2 is Abby Mitchell for the City of Leicester. 3, Chloe Goodridge for Northampton. Fleur Lewis for Loughborough Uni goes in 4. 5, Scarlett Orchard for Loughborough Uni. 6, Emma Crocker for South Link. 7, Alicia Massey for Repton. 8, Bryony Lowe for the City of Leicester. 9, Emily Parkins for Nova Centurion. approaching the 100 meters to go mark here. Close between Fleur Lewis and Scarlett Orchard in 4 and 5. Fleur Lewis tends to prefer the slightly longer distances, if anything, swimming in the 1500 and the 800. She won the 1500 last year at a British level, took the gold medal in 2022 at a 15 and came second in the 1500 at British Champs this year, so seems to do well on that longer distance. Also swam in the 400 at British Champs and came 8th in the A final, so knows her way around a 400 too, but it's very close between Lewis in 4 and Orchard in 5. Which of these two swimmers is going to get to the wall first? Very tight between both of them. Very tight indeed. Into the wall they go practically at the same time. It's Lewis there first, 4:24.75, 4:24.99 for Scarlett Orchard to take second. 4:24.75 though. That is the new fastest time into tonight's final. 4:41.10 for Chloe Goodridge to take third. We'll see if that is quick enough for a finals spot. They're going to be hard to get, that's for sure. But could well be within the top 10. Have to wait till everyone has swum before we can be sure of that. So the final heat of this event then. Jessica Carter, Nova Centurion, goes in lane 0. 1, Asia Coe for Derby Excel. 2, Jessica Brandom for Nova Centurion. 3, Isabel Jobson for Loughborough Uni. 4 is Mia Slevin for Loughborough Uni. 5, Henrietta Dumassa for Repton. In lane 6, Olivia Kingsland for Nova Centurion. Lane 7 is Alexandra Bulett for the City of Lincoln. 8 is Holly Lamb for the City of Leicester. 9, Alyssa Lowe for the City of Leicester. Again, Mia Slevin swims this on the British stage. Came 6th in the A final in the 400 free at British Champs this year. Over first at 100 metres, 102.06, 104.26 puts Jobson in second position. She is over in lane number 3. And Slevin having to do this on her own, really. Some of the others have had swimmers go with them, and maybe some of the swimmers in this heat want to make that move, but Slevin are way ahead of the rest of the pool. 4:24.75 is the time to beat here. She enters on a 4:13.24. Well, if she can go that fast, then there's no real doubt in anyone's mind about the fact that she will take the gold here. I said when we were talking about the 400 IM that especially when you're swimming these longer distances, you need to almost rest yourself that little bit more in the heat. If you know for a fact that pretty much whatever swim you do, you're going to qualify for the final, then there's no point giving it absolutely everything in a heat, because you really want to save that for your final. And I'm not able to tell you what Mia Slevin's race plan is here, but seems to be taking it relatively steady, but with a comfortable lead over the rest of the pool here. A 100 metres to go. Slevin is over in 3:16.54. Jobson trails with a 3:19.18. She has 3 clear seconds on the rest of the pool currently. And that seems to just be increasing, if anything. Turns with 50 to go now in 3:49.79. So we'll see how well she sets herself up for the final. Now then, 4 or so swimmers trail her. I say that, really it's 2 who are going to come second and third. That's going to come from lane 1 and or lane 3. But no doubt in anyone's mind about the winner of this race. Led from the off, continued to lead throughout the entire race. What is the finish time for Mia Slevin? It is 4:22.53. And Slevin puts herself into lane 4 of the 400 freestyle final, the last item on the agenda for this evening's finals session. And, well, this evening's final session is exactly what I need to talk to you about now. That result hopefully is going to be confirmed on your screen as soon as all the swimmers are in. And it is, and I can tell you that those names and times are exactly correct for the first time so far this session. So hopefully we've managed to solve that little technical problem that we had. And that concludes this session of the East Midlands Regional Championships 2023. Thank you very much for joining us on the YouTube channel. We will be back for more swimming action from 3:45. I want to say, I will double check that time is correct while I have the ability to do so. I'm pretty sure that I said 3:45 earlier. Absolutely. 3:45 is your start time for finals action. Make sure you're on the stream, ready to watch all of the swimming here live from Derby from 3:45. We look forward to seeing you later.